now. John Roberts, co-anchor of America Reports on Fox News. He was in Israel. He's back home in Washington, safe and sound. John, thank you for doing this. John, on a slightly different subject, but still the war, I guess 40 or 42 hits later on American military assets in the Middle East. These are, I'm going to characterize them as Iranian or Iranian proxy hits. What exactly has the United States done to hold Iran or anybody else accountable? They keep talking about accountability, John. Where is the account? What have they done?
I don't think there's much on the accountability front. There is a lot on the deterrence front, though. I mean, we've got an awful lot of firepower in the Eastern Mediterranean. We've got the Eisenhower battle group going into the Persian Gulf, and the Pentagon, CENTCOM, took the rare step of actually showing the world where one of its Ohio-class boomer nuclear-powered submarines is. That's usually the most top secret where those subs are, because we don't want our adversaries to know where those subs are operating in case they are needed at a moment's notice. But in terms of holding Iran to account, all we've done so far is we bombed a storage shed and some other munitions depot deep in the heart of Syria. But in terms of even tough rhetoric toward Iran, this administration keeps saying don't, which, Larry, is something I say to our dog when he tries to take a sock out of the laundry. But at the same time, we hear Iran's defense minister saying that if the United States doesn't call a ceasefire, Iran is going to hit it very hard, or will get hit very hard. So I'm not quite sure where the reciprocal language is. But, you know, in the past administration, you were there. There was a lot of tough language toward Iran, and Iran backed off.
You know, I grew up in the Reagan administration a long time ago. The Gipper used very, very tough language. And you're right, in the Trump administration, President Trump and others, you know, Pompeo and others used tough language. Bolton used tough language, etc. It wasn't my bailiwick, but it was the national security bailiwick. I'm just astonished at how little. I mean, you're right about the firepower. My goodness, you're totally right. And I'm sure that even Iran and the crazies understand that. But, you know, you're supposed to send messages. You're supposed to send signals. And I know it's not exactly the same, but look, Trump bombed the Syrian airport while having chocolate cake with Xi Jinping in Mar-a-Lago and took out...
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, he took out Soleimani and so forth. Those by themselves may not have turned the tide, but they sent a message, John. And I just, every day, Mr. Kirby, I'm not beating, I mean, I don't know Kirby, okay? It's not personal. I'm just saying, every day I hear Mr. Kirby talk about holding them accountable, and every day I see the Iranian terrorist proxies lobbing missiles or drones at our American military assets. I don't get it.
Again, there's a lot of implied threat there, but I don't think that there is a tremendous amount of actual threat there. And if you listen to the Iranian leadership talk about it, they're really thumbing their nose at Biden. They don't think that he would actually pull the trigger on anything substantive. And if he's not prepared to do what Trump did, take out Qasem Soleimani, which, as you know, Larry, shocked the hell out of the Iranians. They never thought that was going to happen. Then the Iranians will continue to think, okay, so you've got a big military and you've got a lot of boats in the region, but you're not actually going to use them for anything that's going to hurt us. So it's a bit of a game of cat and mouse right now, but I think Iran knows that this president is playing that. I think Biden is just really afraid of pushing something in a certain direction, which triggers then a regional set of dominoes that fall, and then you've got a conflagration. He's hoping that with the posture and the way that Israel is conducting the war and enough attention on getting humanitarian aid into Gaza, that he can keep a lid on things. He can keep Hezbollah out. He can really keep Iran out to the most part, and then keep a lid on this thing. But as you know well, history has proven that in whether it's Ronald Reagan or whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's George Bush, talking tough to the Iranians and saying, if you do this, you're going to get really hurt as a result. That's what they understand. I don't know that they understand don't. I mean, my dog does to some degree, but he still steals socks.
I know, mine too. John, one more. I didn't want to laugh at that because it's a serious matter, but it's a fabulous metaphor, and I have a dog too. So, John Roberts, one other thing. You covered this in Israel now. You've been in the White House press room. Now you're reporting for Fox here and back in Washington, D.C. How much space is there between the United States and Israel right now on this war?
I don't think there's a whole lot, and that you can base that on not necessarily what you hear, but what you see. Obviously, Biden is playing to two disparate constituencies here that he is desperately trying to hold on to both of. He's trying to hang on to the pro-Israel constituency. He's also trying to hold on to the Arab American constituency, which he is losing very quickly. Though Rashida Tlaib is drawing a lot more fire from Democrats than she had in the past. But then at the same time, he's sending $320 million worth of missile conversion kits to Israel so that they can have these precision-guided joint direct attack munitions, the JDAMs, to go after these tunnel complexes and other precision targets. So on the one hand, what he's doing is he's giving Israel exactly what it needs to prosecute this war. On the other hand, the rhetoric is much more balanced with all of these cautions that are issued, and Kirby was full of those today at the briefing about civilian casualties and how those have to be limited and making sure that Israel is adhering to the laws of war. But behind the scenes and what's being delivered, I think it's full steam ahead with Israel.
All right, terrific stuff. John Roberts, we appreciate it. By the way, folks, you can catch John and co-anchor Sandra Smith every day. America Reports weekdays, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Fox News. John, thanks a million. We really appreciate it.